Hi there, it's Kat, Vietnam Animal Aid and Rescue Director. Um, I am currently sending this video from Poland. I'm in Szczecin, which is in the far north on the sea. I am very much ready to come home to Vietnam, but I left the International Animal Rights Conference in Luxembourg last week, and I've had to kind of wait around for the organization's credit card to arrive in the mail, and then I left, and then now I've had to come someplace significantly cheaper than Luxembourg in order to just be able to eat. So here I am in Poland right now, um, and I'll be here until I go home. Which I'm very ready to do because it's getting cold, and I've been living in Vietnam for 7 years, so like 15 degrees feels like negative 15 to me. So anyway, I want to address a couple things. First of all, so I wrote a kind of a report after the conference, and apparently people think I'm really negative. And I think that's hilarious. Like, I'm actually like I am delusionally optimistic, and I think anybody who has done this job for as long as I have is either batshit crazy or hates themselves, and I don't know which one or both I am. But it's not like I have a choice at this point anyway, because it's not the most fun that I've ever had. It's a very difficult job to do, and I think the reason that I was quite negative after the International Animal Rights Conference, which was in general a very inspiring and exciting event for me, because I live in kind of like a lot of isolation when I'm in Vietnam as far as work, and within the rescue community it's very difficult to find anybody that's even vegan at all, which is fucking insane. I'm not gonna mince my words on that, but anyway, so she so yeah, I was upset after the conference. I think there's a bit of a come down, for one thing, for me conferences are like boom 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 boom, constant talking, and like constant engaging with people, and going to the stalls and talking to people. And then I had this speech I spoke about Vietnam in the morning on Friday morning at about 9 o'clock, and basically even when I was in the bathroom I wasn't left alone. I was talking to people pretty much all the time, every day, and while I am somebody who talks a lot and is generally quite extroverted, and I really enjoy all of that, it is damn exhausting for me. It is still really hard because I think people also still want you to be quite positive, and I'm a very realistic person, and I think in the face of what we deal with in Vietnam, I've realized more and more and more that this isn't anything that the fact that I'm positive makes me really question my sanity. Um, anytime that I'm positive, I think like this is nuts. I mean, to have hope basically is based on what's in this cup right here, which is which is not strong enough to make me positive this morning. Mm. It was quite tasty. Yeah. Anyway, coffee is important if you're going to do a job that's ultimately soul destroying. Uh, so anyway, I guess the problem was that what I realized over the course of the conference was that the job that I do and the mission that we have in Vietnam is, I would say virtually impossible. Um, I've spent a long time kicking myself personally over the failure of the shelter and sort of just the inability to maintain the finances and to get really anything done. And then I sit there and I listen to people who live in other countries who do the same job that I do. And I was listening to one about Switzerland, and this woman is incredible and inspiring, and it's great. And she's got a farm sanctuary there, and they have all these programs and things, and I think like, what's it like to wake up someplace where if your animals are sick, you call a vet that knows what they're doing, and that can actually help your animals and is like remotely interested in doing so. What's it like? What's it like not to be obsessed constantly with the fact that your animals are medically fucked where you live? Does that Does that make your job easier? I have to wonder. And like I pass so many veterinary clinics in Europe, and there's like this little weird part of me that's like, I could kidnap one. I could just take one. I could just take one with me. And I could just steal all the drugs and equipment, and we could just get on a plane. We just run away. Yeah, I don't think that's going to solve anything, unfortunately, because that would be, like international kidnapping, number one. Like morally wrong, sort of. Like, does it balance out? Because I'm like saving a lot of animals if I bring somebody with a freaking brain to actually be able to help animals. And I'm not saying that the Vietnamese veterinarians don't have brains. I'm saying that they have just decided that they're not going to learn anymore if they are already practicing. That upsets me. That's a little bit of a cultural thing that we have to deal with. I'm also really upset that we've got universities in Vietnam that simply are not committed to the idea that one should help animals, that animal welfare in a clinical practice is something that we should consider. Animals feel pain. And they would not like to be awake when being operated on. Oh yeah, and sterilization. That's something that we should do. Because that's fucking crazy. So I'd like very much if people could put my sanity within the context of the situation that we work in. What I realized at the conference that was particularly upsetting is that nobody could possibly understand how difficult it is, and explaining to them with words has never gotten me anywhere. Well, we do need to get a veterinary clinic, and it's going to take a massive investment. Did you notice how I said investment, not donations? Did you hear that? It's interesting. It's going to take a lot of investment to make this functional. And unfortunately, it's very difficult for me in all of my persuasiveness and all of my gesticulations and speeches and chit-chatting with people to make them understand how vital this is, not for the animals just at our shelter, but for all of Central Vietnam. And Vietnam and the world in general, I feel like I can't explain that to people who get to wake up and take their animal to a vet that can help them. I just can't. I cannot get that across to people because they don't live with this. They don't live with that anxiety. They don't live with waking up to animals knowing that, hey, don't get sick today because you're screwed, kiddo. It's an absolute nightmare. I can't. I simply cannot drive that into people. And even if I did, would they be able to help? So the thing is, it's like the people that are most interested in the project, that are most interested in helping and do truly understand the crisis that we're actually in, they're generally not in the financial position to help us. A lot of them, look, there's a ton of money in Europe. I'm not going to lie. Look, I was in Switzerland for 3 weeks, and there's like Maseratis driving down my street every day, and I'm thinking, I could take one. Just one. Frankly, a tire on a Maserati would pay for a rent on a vet clinic for freaking 6 months. So the fact that I didn't steal one, I would really like an applause for that. Anyway, the fact is it's there, but it's the people that do have the financial means to do it. It's very difficult for me personally to reach them. And what I always tell people, it's like, people get interested and they're like, oh, this is great what you're doing. And I'm just like, is it great? Is it great? It doesn't feel like that when I wake up. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't feel great. It feels like, do I not have an opportunity to wake up into something that sucks less? But the fact is they just can't get me in front of the people that are able to invest the amount of money necessary to open a medical facility. Be aware that I'm not asking to just get a building. We're talking about a medical facility. Can you imagine what a clinic costs? And I personally can't even imagine that. The reason I can't give exact numbers is because it's Vietnam, and that's like absurd to even think that you could have exact numbers in a place like that. Because there's a whole bunch of added costs of bullshit. It's the bullshit tax of living in a country where nothing functions. So there's things like import costs, right? So let's talk about equipment and drugs and all of this stuff. I mean, frankly, when we had the last clinic, we were smuggling Zolotil into the country at 3 a.m. from Thailand. Why? Because there was a month where we couldn't even get it at all in the country. Yes, it would be lovely to be able to just rock up to a, veterinary pharmaceutical place and pick it up, but we can't. It's difficult, and it costs extra money for things like this. Yeah, we gotta fly to Thailand to pick up shit, and frankly, that's what all the big clinics are doing in Vietnam anyway. They pay somebody to fly over, fill up their bags, and they fly home. It sucks. It's not convenient. It's like the bullshit tax involves a lot of inconvenience. It involves a lot of extra little steps that you guys just don't have here. And you couldn't possibly imagine what they are until you are there. So no, I can't give you an exact number of what we want. I know that a 6-month lease on a building that would be appropriate for a veterinary clinic is gonna run us about somewhere around $6,000 US. Yeah, that's for 6 months. So let's say, I was looking at places that were like 3 or 4 bedroom places, and that would be appropriate, at least as a starter, at least for the first year, to be able to do some sterilization, some surgeries, and have all of our drugs and all that crap there, and have a veterinarian living on site. So we're looking at between $700 and $1,000 per month US dollars. Yeah. So that obviously that $6,000 doesn't involve utilities. It doesn't involve paying for all the equipment. It doesn't involve paying for the salaries. Yeah, we gotta pay people. There's a whole other video for what I have to say about having to justify that you pay people that work in nonprofits. Unfortunately, we were given in a situation where animal rescues have a tendency to believe that, like, you should, just because you're doing a good thing, everybody should do it for free. Yet, no, veterinarians are professionals. They have college degrees, they have experience, and they got student loans. I mean, so do I. Nobody gives a shit about that. But anyway, frankly, me either. But the fact is, it's like, you've got to pay. If you want professional service, you've got to pay people to be professionals. The idea that we've got all of these non-professionals working in animal rescue, particularly in Southeast Asia, is, and I would say that from both an international and the national side, we've got people that simply don't know what they're doing, and don't have the training, and don't have the experience, don't have the education, and for some reason decide they love puppies and kittens, and so they're going to hoard them, and they're going to make sure they don't get sterilized or vaccinated properly, and they're not getting proper medical care, because God knows nobody gives a shit about that. Anyway, because that's not fundable. Medical care, not sexy enough, it's not crisis enough. So anyway, the idea is that we've got to be able to pay professionals. That's my rant on salaries for the moment. And for the moment, I've got so much more to say about that. And so the idea is we've got to get all this money together for that. I personally, looking around at the International Animal Rights Conference, I mean, obviously I wasn't there to get donations. I was there to get contacts. I mean, I want to, I don't know, frankly, I was there maybe to get hope. I don't get a lot of that. I don't know where I'd find it. Certainly isn't going to be in social media, could tell you that. So, yeah, and I think it was very different. It was much harder on me emotionally than I expected, frankly. Because it's when you look around at people that have jobs that work with animals, or frankly that don't work with animals, that work in some form of activism, whatever that may be, and they're in countries where they have the law behind them, number one. Not that it would matter if we had laws in Vietnam, because lacking rule of law and general lack of interest in enforcement of any law in Vietnam that doesn't directly benefit the pockets of a politician or a policeman. That's just nuts. That's also another video. But the fact is, it's like we don't have anything to rely on. Not only that, but I personally don't want to do this alone anymore. I just don't. It's a freaking traumatic job. And if anybody wants to know why I ranted the other day, on Facebook, which my staff was very kind to delete. Yeah, so I had about 13 messages of people sending me that crap about a woman in Vietnam somewhere, I don't know where. Frankly, I don't give a shit. Who cut off her dog's legs and put it on video. That was 2 years ago. So if anybody's wondering, I've seen animals tortured. I've seen that in front of my face. It's there. I have dog meat restaurants in my town. I know what it looks like for a dog to be on a spit, barbecue, their heads chopped off. I mean, like, I know what that looks like. Yeah, I know what pigs look like on barbecue. Well, we all do, frankly, and most dog meat people don't give a shit about that. But that's also another video. And look, I don't need to be traumatized again and again and again. Believe it or not, but people that work in my industry, we've seen it. And if you think that sending us more pictures of more trauma and more suffering that we can't do anything about, and pleading with us to do something, what's that gonna do? Do you think that doesn't affect us? You're aware that there's a human being behind that, right? I know that's confusing in social media, but this is a person that has seen some really fucked up shit. Yeah? And I don't want to see anymore. I'm trying really hard to never see any again and to prevent it from happening. Yeah? But the lack of interest in veterinary projects that would end the population of animals that ends up in these situations. That's pretty upsetting. Because these things do have an answer, and it's not getting more rescues in Vietnam. You know, frankly, that dog who had her legs cut off, if you read the article about the follow-up that happened over the past 2 years, the dog's in some shelter somewhere, frankly, shelter, I don't know, call it what you want, somewhere in Vietnam, had her leg cut off, but she had it properly amputated at the shoulder because the first vet that saw her fucked it up. Surprise, surprise. Local vet in the middle of nowhere, Vietnam, wants to play doctor and ends up screwing up a simple amputation. The dog has to go to the international vet in Saigon for 20 times more money. But nobody wants to talk about the fact that, like, oh, well, a dog was tortured. What are we going to do? Let's sign a petition. Good luck. Yeah, don't send me any more of your videos that have animals being tortured on them. I've seen enough. We can't do anything. We're not a national police force. I'm not kidding about that. If that's a problem, if you think I'm crazy for saying that, I'm going to ask you to very politely. Yeah, you don't know what we go through. You don't know what we've seen. It's not freaking Germany, okay? Like, yeah, torture happens in Germany too, by the way. So let's stop calling the Vietnamese savages. Give me a break. You guys have one of the highest consumptions of animal products in the world. I swear to God, if one German or American or Australian tells me that the Vietnamese are savages, give me a fucking break. Look, I am frustrated and I am angry. I am rightly so. The one thing I learned from this conference is that when I'm upset, you know what? There's a really good reason for it. It is justified. I'm not insane. I am being really logical in my emotional reaction to the things that happen. And yeah, I have an emotional reaction to things. Do you know that I got into this because I am actually, believe it or not, a compassionate and caring person. That takes a lot of emotional vulnerability and openness. And that's what I am as a person. I'm just an open book, and a lot of shit hits me, and I'm sorry I react to it. No, let me take that. I'm not at all sorry I react to it. I'm just not. I feel nothing. I feel absolutely no remorse for having an emotional reaction and being able to express that to people. Look, rescue is not happy, fluffy kittens and rainbows. It's just not. Yeah, and I know donors love crises, but I don't. I don't like crises. I have a master's degree in disaster management. I'm a master of disaster, and I still don't like crises. because I'm tired of living through them and knowing that the animals that we care for are constantly in peril. And it comes down to one person here or there dropping us a load of cash that will actually pay the damn bills that are so goddamn overdue that I don't even know why anybody puts up with us. It is exhausting. It is emotionally devastating to do this job. Yeah? And just be aware that there's a human being doing this. There's human beings. There's more than me. Yeah? And frankly, most of them leave because it sucks. Yeah? I've been doing this for almost 7 years. Yeah? It sucks. In the United States, where they have veterinarians, where they have access to the people who are funding your organization. That's another thing. I live in Vietnam. Most of our donors are 7,000 miles away. Yeah? Imagine what that's like for your business or your organization. Think about that for a minute. Another luxury we just don't really have. But the fact is, it's like, in the United States, it's 5.5 years to work in rescue. That's your average. It is the highest suicide rate. What the? Do you think it's a joke? Look, it's not kittens and rainbows anywhere in the world, so stop expecting me or anybody that works for me to feel like that. We don't feel bad about it. Be a little sensitive. Yeah? If you've got a problem with that, go back to your freaking suburban housewife bullshit. Let us do the real work. I may be nuts, but I'm damn resilient, and I'm going to get out there and open a vet clinic if it kills me. It might. Or someone else. Who knows? Oh. Coffee rant for the morning. This shit's going up on YouTube. Anyway. Thanks, y'all, for anybody who has been donating, who actually does give a damn. Because there are a lot of people, and I am aware of that, and I am grateful. Don't think that I'm not, because once in a while I go off. Just do us all a favor, for people that work in the rescue industry. Just, acknowledge our humanity. Just acknowledge the trauma that we go through on a daily basis, and the fact that we're not going to put up with your crap. You don't know how hard it is, and you're not going to, and frankly, I don't want you to. I don't want to give this nightmare to anybody else, because that's just rude. It's rude. But I'm going to get through it. And so are our animals. It's not going to be easy. Nothing is. Should I be bored if it was anyway, so. Just kind of the person I am. Talk to you all later. Bye.